Just 4 months ago, Super Bowl 20 was played before the largest total audience for any television show of any kind ever. 127 million fans marveled as William Refrigerator Perry helped Chicago to a lopsided 46-10 win.
That one registered 3.8.
Aside from the daily and nightly news programs, the News Digest, and the other regular programs which keep us all informed, NBC over the years has presented a number of programs of in-depth analysis on subjects that warranted extra attention. One remembers the Kennedy-Nixon debates in 1960.
Candidates for the presidency. The candidates need no introduction. The Republican candidate, Vice President Richard M. Nixon, and the Democratic candidate, Senator John F. Kennedy.
Who could ever forget an NBC News program called The Tunnel?
This was the tunnel when it was finished. And this was how it began. In April 1962, 3 West Berlin University students toured the wall between East and West Berlin.
The American Revolution of 1963.
There comes a time, there even comes a moment in the affairs of men when they sense that their lives are being altered forever, that an old order is dying and a new one is being born.
Behind me is the 16th Street Baptist Church, the main staging area for the demonstrations. On Good Friday, I had watched Dr. King lead a small anti-segregation march through this park. Police Commissioner Eugene Bull Connor ordered his arrest. These 2 men played principal roles in the drama of Birmingham.
Frank McGee helped take all of us to the moon for the first time.
Tonight, American science, technology, and the men of Apollo 11 stand on the threshold.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We were all personally deeply affected in 1978 by the Jonestown tragedy. NBC News correspondent Don Harris and cameraman Bob Brown were among those killed at the airport. The next decade brought us the Abscam scandal in 1980. NBC's Brian Ross broke that story.
These pictures are made by NBC News with a special night lens. Sources say that more than 100 FBI agents today confronted the targets of Operation Abscam.
In 1981, the hostages were released. 1982 found John Chancellor in Beirut.
But the real Palestinian problem is to be found in places like this. There are a lot of them, but this one is typical. It's the Rashidiyah Palestinian refugee camp in southern Lebanon.
In 1983, I was in China. This is not the China of postcards and presidential tours. This is an intimate portrait of the Chinese people as they adapt to another wave of political and economic change, while at the same time preserving the traditions that have made them unique for more than 4,000 years. And 84 exposed the world to the immensity of the tragedy in Africa and Ethiopia.
Tens of thousands of sick and starving people are now being cared for, but hundreds more arrive to register every day.
Recently, we aired AIDS Fear, AIDS Fact.
I had a real good friend that went home to tell his family that he had AIDS. And they were a very religious family. And they kicked him out. They didn't want to have him around. They didn't, you know, they had no longer had a son. And he came home. And committed suicide.
In the 60 years since NBC became the first network, we have presented you with sometimes more than you may have wanted to know about this world that we share. But together, we share our responsibility of being informed, of trying to change what is bad for the better. I'm proud to be part of NBC News and to share in this celebration.
From the time you leave nursery school and say goodbye to friends and head off to kindergarten to say hello to a new bunch, it's all hellos and goodbyes and a little time in between. You grow up and say goodbye to your parents and leave home to marry the girl you said hello to at the school dance one night. You say goodbye to the old house and hello to the new one. You say hello there to the new baby, and before you know it, 20 years have passed, and you find yourself saying goodbye to the new young bridegroom as he leaves your home. Well, NBC has had its share of hellos and goodbyes over the years, and I don't just mean shows that had high hopes but didn't quite make it. Do you remember, for instance, the very first Little House on the Prairie?
It was kind of like we were all holding our breath. And then one day our little house was there. Can we go in now?
Not just yet.
Charles!
Today's special.
Can you believe that it was almost 10 years between that hello and this goodbye?
We bury a friend today. This town has been our friend. It's made us a family.
Do you remember that Today Show from Boston when Barbara Walters got a little teary about saying goodbye and going on to the next?
Childhood. I love you all. I will miss you all. This is Barbara Walters on the Today Show in Massachusetts.
Some of the hellos were particularly exciting because we were saying hello to wonderful new talent.
I actually feel sorry for the Wolfman. Now, here's a guy that can't remember when the moon's going to come up on him. And he must be awfully embarrassing to his family. You know, he's sitting around the table eating, you know, and up comes the moon. Oh.
Just the way you look tonight.
Those of you who were the children of the very first television generation probably have a fond memory in your hearts for the very last Howdy Doody show. After 13 years of watching the always silent Clarabelle play his practical jokes and speak by squeaking his yes and no horns, there were tears in many eyes as Clarabelle quietly approached the camera.
Let's hear you say something.
Goodbye, kids.
We watched and we were informed by the Huntley-Brinkley report. We were also saddened on that last evening of July 1970 when Chet Huntley said goodbye.
At the risk of sounding presumptuous, I would say to all of you, be patient and have courage, for there will be better and happier news one day if we work at it. And David, thanks for these years of happy association and for being such an easy colleague to work with and for all the kindnesses.
I really don't want to say it, but the time has come, and so for the last time, good luck and good night, Chet.
Good luck, David, and good night for NBC News.
And this is how I said goodbye to NBC. Goodbye. Good night. Come on, Leica. We're going to go home. And so tonight, here I am back at NBC, and I want to say happy birthday, NBC.